Welcome to another episode of the Headlight Restoration Pro, where I'll be showing you how to take headlights like these and turn them into amazing, beautiful, perfect, better than the day they rolled off the lot headlights like this. Boom. Picture perfect perfection. Doesn't get any better than this. Also, we'll be touching bases on why people keep getting scratches and what they're not doing.
The Headlight Restoration Pro. The future of headlight restoration.
Let's get down to business. But actually, before we do that, let's get down to safety. Okay, all this stuff here that I'm going to be showing you, which is old, it's always been on there and recommended, is my favorite go-to mask. I use the pink ones as well, but this one is kind of universal. It's the 3M6001. And also, let's get into some of the new additions to the safety and PPE. These cups here and these little inserts that go in the cups, which go over the actual cartridges that go on the mask. Okay, these are supposedly supposed to be boosting up your respiratory defense against all this stuff, especially the spray coating. Okay, it's designed for painters primarily to put this on the mask to give it a little extra boost, and believe it or not, it works good. When you're doing a couple headlights, it's not so bad. It's recommended to do it anyways, but when you're doing a shitload of headlights, when you're doing 2 and 3 a day, or if you're doing freaking 5 a week, or if you're doing this professionally, or if you're exceeding more than 3 or 4 a month, you need to get some kind of specialty mask. Okay, I picked these up from Amazon. Check this out. And they are the 3M Performance 6000 Series Particle Filter Mask N95. You get 10 a pack. It's a good investment in your health. It's fairly cheap. I can't really say the price, but they are listed in the bio. These are the 3M 501 filter retainers from 3M. They're reusable, and they kind of just hold them on place on the end. They snap into place, and it makes a huge difference. The reason why I was looking for more stuff, and sooner or later I'm going to want to go through some kind of oxygen reserve as things increase and numbers increase of me doing this and the longevity. I want to make sure that I'm healthier. I'm not getting too much blowback from this, because no matter what mask you use, this this dust and this vapor and whatever else, these chemicals I'm using, whatever, which is not really strong. The biggest thing is the dust, okay, with this method. And the biggest thing is the spray is the number one thing. The dust is not so bad. You can wear a regular COVID mask for the dust. It's recommended that you use a fan to blow away the dust at the same time. But any kind of vapor seems to get through the mask just a little bit. Every once in a while I have a little taste of it in my mouth or something like that. Very little. I even hold my breath when I have a mask on anyways, to just to make sure. You don't want too much of this inside you. If you do it once, it'll ruin your week, believe me. Also updated my glasses here, my goggles, to a more airtight fit, the 3M Scotch Guard here. They're very, very light, and I read the bios and all the little notes on them or whatever, and how many people liked them, what they said about them, and they're very scratch resistant with the Scotch Guard or whatever. They're very, very light, and they're very comfortable. They almost have like a spring load to your face, and no vapor or nothing gets in. I typically wear my lighter version ones, but sometimes when there's a little bit of wind or the right circumstance, or if I'm in a garage doing this, whatever, it's a little bit different than just the open air, where some stuff might little particles or vapor might sneak through. And you don't want to go blind, and you don't want to mess up your respiratory situation. This is another formal warning for you guys out there. If you're not wearing mask or PPE or whatever, it can really add up. If you're, even if you're just doing one headlight, if you get too much exposure to it, you'll be sorry. Your body will pass through it or whatever, but you feel miserable. But believe me, I've had exposure to all this shit, and and that's how I learned that I need to really protect myself. But you will be miserable, and you will regret it for a couple days at least. So this is the Headlight Pro saying invest in your health, your longevity, your protection. If you're doing one, or if you're doing 10 a month, or if you're doing 10 a week, whatever you're doing, protect yourself. If you're a wet sander or whatever, hand sander, still same applies. Even if you're some of the wipes smell so strong. The 3M wipe is very strong. You don't want to breathe any of that shit in. Continuous basis of it, you will have lasting or temporary health effects. But I want you to pay attention to this headlight. This is a 2013 Mazda Miata MX-5. Okay, these things are fun to do. They're not terribly difficult headlights. They do have a nice little bubble about them, but at the same time, they're kind of like an oxymoron. An oxymoron, if you guys don't know, I'm not going to give you the blunt dictionary meaning of it. I'm just going to keep it simple. It's almost like saying dry water, or I'm saying like a light dark. So with that being said, these lights are difficult. And they are easy. Okay, by nature they would be easy, but by actuality they are difficult. If you see this area around here, these indentions, this light is pretty much behind the bumper. You know how most lights are kind of even with the bumper or flush with the bumper and the surrounding areas. Okay, maybe it might have a spot or two that's an indention. Okay, this is a light with indentions. Also, the light is set back behind the indentions. The whole bumper is placed on pretty much over the headlight, if you can tell. But one thing that kind of makes it not so difficult, it's a difficult tape off on this for sure. But one thing that makes it a little less difficult is the fact that all of them always have a big gap in between the light and the bumper. So you have to make sure that you tape off pretty good around this area, these indentions or whatever, because you're going to be hitting this frequently, or more. The likelihood of you hitting these sides are much higher. As you see, I'm doing the outside surrounding areas first, just because you want to hit those difficult areas once again with a fresh pad. It has to work less to get the desired effect, versus doing the middle part first and then going around the edges with a beat up old busted pad. It wouldn't make any sense, right? Exactly. And let's get to what we're all here for anyways. Depth and pressure. Okay, people are having a hard time. Some people ace it. About 60% of the people that do this, I get all the emails, I get all the responses. They're like, "Oh my God, you are 1,000% right. I can't believe this. I've been using 2K all these years, and I've been restoring these headlights by hand for all these years." And I get so many emails and DMs like this. Okay. They're saying, like maybe 60% that are saying, "Yeah, spot on. This is the shit. I've done so many, and now I'm getting all this business, whatever." And I'm like, good. That's what this is here for. I'm glad to, that you watch this to see that. I'm happy. I'm like a person that's like an anti-hater. Okay, I love to hear people doing good. Okay, and that's really foreign to a lot of people. Some people, believe it or not, about 50% of the people in the world will love to see you fall. They are miserable people, and they're just terrible fucking people. I'm kind of the opposite of that. I'm the other side of the fence, the other 50%, where I just love. I don't even know you, and I would love to hear that you're doing good. Okay, I would love to hear that you're succeeding, and I would love to, if I had a hope you know, I would be like, yeah, I hope they're doing good. It has nothing to do with me, but I would rather hope that you're doing good than not. Some people are the opposite. But anyhow, back to this, you know, about 40% of the people, not even 40, maybe 30%. It's not a huge number, but it's quite a few that are like, I keep trying to do it and this and that, and I'm doing everything you're doing, and I got everything you're doing, and it's coming out good, real good, better than ever, but it's not coming out perfect like yours, and this and that. I'm getting these scratches and the finished product. Okay, people, listen to how that sounds. I'm getting scratches in my finished product. I can see through the clear coat. What does that tell you is going on? Think about it. Yes, you're not checking your work. First and foremost, check your work. You got to check your work. I've already checked my work already once. When I switch pads, every time I switch pads, I'm glancing over, I'm looking at the light, and I'm checking it to see if I have any problem areas or areas I need to work on more with this pad. Okay, I'm barely pushing. If you guys watch this video, rewind back to when I started with the P500 if you want, and watch how little pressure I'm using. If you guys have the stuff I'm actually using, and you guys have these pads here, these interface pads, they're foam interface pads. If you're watching the end of my drill and you're watching the relaxation of my hand and the steadiness of my motion, you can, you know, see how lightly I'm going over these lights. Very gentle. Look at the look here. Look at all the little sweeping motions here. I stopped right here so you can see it. Look at all these little ripples and stuff like that. Ripples and small. Look how light and feathery they are because I am going so light. Now keep in mind, when you are using the P500 or anything above P500, if you think of P500, you should be on a normal headlight restoration, that should be the lightest pressure that you're using. Okay? The heavier the grit gets, if you jump to 320, you're going to use even less pressure. If you jump to 220, you're going to lose a shitload less pressure. If you go to P220, you would be really gentle with it. There, you're not pushing on this at all. Okay, you guys are thinking of pushing. I'm thinking of applying pressure just for the fact that it's making the end of that disc flush against the surface of the light. Now even look how lightly it's all finesse. It's all finesse. If I was doing this against your skin right now, you wouldn't even feel it that much. It might make you a little red, but it wouldn't tear your skin up. That's how lightly I'm doing this right now. Can you see? You can look at it. Look how light I'm doing. I'm doing a shearing, smoothing motion, not a grinding motion, right? And this step is really important right here. If you're having problems with swirling in your finished product, you know, this can really help. A lot of people are just heavy-handed. They can't get the depth and pressure perception down, okay? It's just the thing. Now, look at this. If you add this step in, okay, on average, or whenever you feel like you've done a little too much, or you're having issues with getting that smoothness that you want, if you add this step in, a wet P800 hand sand, okay, with the gimbal, okay. A lot of people think like the people that are getting it wrong, nine. If it's 30% of the people getting it wrong, 29% of them are doing something I'm not doing and are doing it the way I'm not doing it. They're saying, well, I hand sanded it, but you're using your hand instead of the gimbal. It's different. You can't control the pressure as much as you think you can with your hand. With the motion that you have to use with your hand, with no gimbal, you're having to use your shoulder, your arm, you have to use your forearms, you have to use elbow grease and all that shit. When you're using the yellow gimbal, the hand sanding attachment, I can drag this around there, even with water, even with no water, whatever, with like 2 or 3 fingers. Really, 1 finger if I could keep it steady. But of course, you know, the physics don't work that way, or body mechanics don't work that way. You can't hold it still with 1 finger, so I have to use at least 3. And quite often, I use 3. I don't even use my palm. I just, you know, to control my pressure. Now look at this. Look up close. Look at that. Look how smooth that light is. Now I've already checked this light about 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times. You guys are getting, the ones that aren't getting it, nailing it, are getting to that last step after polishing, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna spray it. And they're like, oh my god, look, I didn't even check once. I didn't even look. I didn't even proofread my shit. And it's like writing a fucking essay and just turning it in. Like, are you crazy? You're probably gonna fail, right? And no matter how good it is, you're gonna fail because you didn't check anything. You misspelled your name, or you did something wrong, okay? And there's all these spelling errors or whatever. You have to check, you know, you have to proofread your shit. You have to check again. And when you think you've checked enough, check again. The final check is gonna be the most important, the biggest, okay? But they're all important, okay? So you don't run into this problem where you have just a massive shit to fix before your final step, and you have to do the whole process over. And another step, I had to explain to somebody, they said, oh my god, you jumped from P800 to 3000. It's not 3000. It is 3000 Trizac. The 3000 Trizac has the power of everything between 800 and like 5000. Believe it or not, it has that power. If you were to say, I'll give you every grit, even if it was 3M, even if it was the P series, it says I give you every grit between 800 and 5,000 to do your shit if you don't use the 3000 Trizac. I would say no, and I would pay for a Trizac pad. That's how serious it is. So I'm just saying, a lot of people are saying, I do everything you do. I do everything you don't. Okay, when somebody says, I do everything you do, I do everything you do, you know, when, you know, if you're, let's just say, let's see an analogy, I don't know, if Tony Romo's telling you, do this, throw the ball this way, and he could throw the ball this way, and like, let's say you're just the same size as him, the same, you know, whatever, you play the same as, you know, years as him or whatever, and you've trained with him, and you tell him, I'm doing everything you do, but I can't do it, he'll probably tell you you're full of shit, you're not doing what I'm doing, because I'm trying to show you what you're doing. And the thing is, when people say, I'm doing everything you're doing, it's a shutdown. It closes your mind, where you think like, oh, well, it's something he's doing. He's put a filter on his shit. And, you know, look how close I'm filming. I'm about 1.5 feet away. This is about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet at most, okay? You'd be able to see any blemish or anything going on that I would be able to see. And then when I get close at the end, it's like 5 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches away from the light. You'd be able to see anything that I could see at this point. So when you say I'm doing everything you do, you're shutting down. And then half the times you don't have the same equipment. You're not using it the same. You know, and I have to draw it out of people. Oh, I'm using this plug-in drill from Makita. And it's like, man, I look it up and it's like, man, this shit has like, you know, 1800 RP. It has 1800 pounds of torque. You know, like you have to abide by the rules. You know, you have to, you know, use what I'm using. Oh, I can't, you know, do this because, you know, it's not working right, you know, and I think the pad doesn't work the way you say it works. I had a guy saying this, and he's like, well, I washed the pads. And I'm like, wash the pads? What video was that on, right? You don't wash the pads. These pads are freaking like $30 pads, and they can perform on, like, literally, like, 25 vehicles. Literally. They just keep resurfacing themselves. They're not meant to be washed. And then they draw it out of them, and they're like, oh, I'm not even using those. I'm just using like some cheap pads and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's just like I have to draw it out of people because they'll sit there and lie to you. And the thing is, I'm a real honest person, especially when it comes to this, because I'd rather be known for that than, you know, playing around and doing whatever else, you know, hiding cans and doing all this shit, not showing you guys how to do this. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want my stamp to be on this channel or in any of your lives is somebody who actually showed me how to do this at the highest level. That is more than likely the future of headlight restoration. Think about it. If my shit is this good, how long before everybody just starts doing this? Why? Because it's the best. I've seen it all. I've tried it all. As of right now, unless they came out with some more stuff that makes things easier or better or whatever, it still couldn't get as good as this. It could only get a little bit better on different levels, and that's maybe. Now look at it. When you see the finished product, every single time it's this way. The only time it's not this way is if you bring a cracked light or a fucked up light, something wrong with it. Is the only way it does not come out perfect. That's because you can't turn a turd in a diamond. You can't do it. But if you have a uncut diamond, you can cut it, of course, right? So it just goes into that. But every single time it is flawless. It's on the same level. It's very uniformed. Okay, it's not like, oh, this one is good and this one is yellow, or this one is ugly and this one has hella scratch. It's not like that. Now, anyhow, checking your work is one of the most important things. Pressure is one of the most important things. Now look at this. This isn't finished. This has just been polished, okay? This is, like I said, I've been saying it lately, this looks better than most people's finished product with their spray on it. Okay, and it's very important to spray your headlights forever clear. There's right there too. You gotta watch out for that kind of stuff. There's a big, huge rock divot. Now, experience tells me I don't want to keep grinding on that another, thickness of a whole piece of paper just to get that out. If it's that little bitty rock, you explain it to the customer like, the next time you get it, it'll probably come out. But I'd be a fool to just sit there and polish, take a whole another layer off just to get that out, right? I would be doing a disservice to the customer and a disservice to the actual vehicle and just my own time frame, because it'd make no sense to get all that out. So those things like that, I explain like it's just a really deep rock chip. Okay, it's not through and through, but it's not going to come out unless I sit there and grind like another 2 or 3 headlight restorations worth of material off, which makes no sense to do for that little spot. But anyhow, you see how speaking of double check, I wasn't good with that area, so I did a spot check. I did a spot restoration right there. I wasn't good with that. I saw it. I spotted it on one of my checks. And as you see, when you find those little areas, look how quick it is to just handle them, because it's just a small area. It's only, what is that little area? About 20% of the light. It's 20% of the light that's already been serviced. Okay, it's not at the beginning. It's already been serviced. So it's like, boom, hit it again. It takes less than a minute. It took me less than a minute to fix that little spot. And I wasn't satisfied with it, and to bring it all back into the realm of being perfect, right? So it's more than likely it's the opening stage what is causing those scratches. The P800 doesn't really cause scratches, okay? You guys might not know that. It's really hard to make prominent or lasting scratches with the P800. P800 is very silky smooth cutting disc, okay? It's like, I don't know, it's like the Cadillac of cutting disc. It's just put together. It's a brick shit house. It's just a nice disc, okay? The P500 is a demolition disc. So when you're getting all those ones before the P500 is a demolition disc. And once again, service announcement, don't ever use anything greater than a P220 on, or its equivalent on a headlight. Because you're going to be fucking, you're going to open up a can of fucking bullshit and you're going to eat it, because you're going to sit there so long trying to fix all the damage that has done. Not only that, you're doing it just disjustice to your customer, okay, and to the vehicle, because you're going to be taking off so much surface and you're going to be taking off so much just to fix the error that you made with a P180 or a P50 or some shit like that, like a whatever you're using that's greater or more powerful than a P220. P220 is like really like just a smidgen beyond how heavy you should be on anything. Okay, that's for some serious heavy duty shit on your headlight that you need to take off. And you're just gonna have to, even with that, you're gonna have to do a shitload of cleanup or whatnot. And also with these cans, you always want to shake the shit out of them, all right? You always want to make sure they're in a cool temperature. You want to shake the shit out of them because they're not a rattle can. They don't have a rattle in, if you guys haven't noticed. It's just material and they're sloshing around. Okay, so you have to shake the shit out of it because there's nothing in there mixing it. You're mixing it, right? So it's different than a rattle can, okay? But damn, look at that. If I can see the trees, you can see my mask. Look at that. You can see my glasses on. You can see all this shit, man. You see me grab the fan. This shit is off the hook. That's crazy. Look at that. That is perfect. They don't look like this when they're made. That's how nice these are. And that's part of the reason why I say this is the future of headlight restoration. Not only is it this aesthetic and this amazing and this scientific, it's just beautiful and it's healthy for the headlight. You can do this to the headlight 25 times and not have any issues. You're not gonna have any warping, no spider cracking. It might last a year less than 2K clear, but guess what? When you take this off, when it is expired, if you kept this on the headlight for 3 years and kept 2K clear on the headlight for 3 years and you removed them both, you would see, you did it on one side and did it on the other side, you would see so much damage on the K clear side, or just anything that's not made for headlights. You would see such a big difference, even if it was ceramic. Ceramic isn't technically made for headlights most of the time. Okay, there's very few of them that are. You would see so much damage on the other side versus this. Namely because this is a headlight product, not just because it's Meguiar's. Okay, to me this is the number one product, but not just because it's Meguiar's, but because it's a headlight product. It was made for headlights with all these aspects in mind, not made for fucking painting bricks or painting house signs. You live on 321 take a fart drive, whatever. You're not painting 321. It's not made for that shit. It's made for this. Okay, this is why you use stuff that is made for. Now look, you saw how close I got. Now look, let's get closer. Let's look at this one. But you see how close I get. There's not one little blemish on there because I check my work and I watch my pressures. You guys need to do the same. Stay tuned for the next one.
The Headlight Restoration Pro.
Top-notch quality.
High-performing headlights can help a driver identify a potential hazard in just 2 seconds, while it could take up to 6 seconds with poor lights.